Hi everyone. Looks like we're live here. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us today for our event with Omnidawn Publishing to celebrate the launch of their fall titles. My name is Evan Karp. I'm the events manager of Booksmith. We're an independent bookstore and mainstay of San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district since 1976. Maybe I'll give you a rundown of these titles that we're celebrating before we get started. We're celebrating Wyrd by Claire Marie Stancek. This read Metropolis, What Remains by Leia Penina Wilson, Storage Unit for the Spirit House by Maw Shein Win, Quiet Orient Riot by Nathalie Khankan, The Lower East Side Tenement Reclamation Association by David Rothman, and The Breathing Place by Bedient. I want to welcome all of the authors and congratulations on your books, Claire, Leia, Ma, Nathalie, David, and Calvin. I want to note that Cal has a surrogate reader today. Sonny Morris will be reading for Cal. Welcome and thank you also to Sonny. The authors will be reading in the order that they're listed below the video here. So we'll begin with Claire Marie Stancek, and I will fade out now. Thank you guys all so much for being here today.
Hello, hi, thank you all for being here. I can't see you, but I can feel you. Thank you so much, Evan and the Booksmith Bindery for bringing us together and opening up this space here virtually in the ether. And thank you most of all to Rusty and Ken and everyone at Omnidawn for all of your hard work in bringing these books into the world. What would it mean to write an utterly embodied book? And I saw sick dream book, fever dream. And I saw imprint of eyes left over years behind time, attesting still to how the eyes would push down the flesh they touched. And would eyes push down and imprint as they've imprinted? What sounds our dream made in the word night? Richard Cullen Rath describes how Catholic churches in Europe were designed to reflect sound so that the priest's voice, directed away from the congregation, would reach the listeners first as echo. Already in Latin, the priest's words would redound, Rath writes, echo upon echo upon echo. He says, quote, while the medieval chancel is often negatively construed as an impediment to vision and acoustic clarity, separating priest from congregants, it can also be considered a beautifully executed, very large musical instrument, somewhat like the body of a lute. He contrasts this acoustic design with early American churches, which were designed for egalitarianism and its clarity. The devil hides in echoes and distorted sounds, sounds originating from the priest himself. The violence is sure. I taste the future, a taste in dreams. In the light, else feverish, woman, bloody. From everything along, under, among, lightened, I collect, alone, so my power. Chaoses except over, from, or through, a familiar time. The window edge, the mind, then what? Stranger thoughts believed my dreams too, everything gray. As someone called, loved, trembling, see, the book ash, I, me, the permeable pen. Body, little bloody teeth, pre-dawn, without, under, feeling, new feeling, best grunting in love, go empty. In a vision, Hildegard of Bingen hears the voice of her mother saying, you have been granted wings. And so Hildegard picks up her wings from the ground and flies away over the worms, scorpions, vipers, and hissing reptiles. I saw my mother that night inexplicably while falling asleep. Time folds back on itself like an elliptical band. And year doubling now, this year returns. As seasons return, so too returns. The fading sheen, laptop screen on a night window where the reflective city looks both out and in. After you died, I couldn't write anymore. My nights wind-filled, dreams rushed through me, but no thought would stay. I was a mere image of myself, I was a questionable shape. After 7 nights, I opened my notebook to the last thing I had written. I saw the words, "After all, it is the body that writes. Sometimes it can write, and sometimes it cannot." That would have been the day you died. I want to believe that it was your spirit guiding my hand still warm. But in fact, it was just another aberration on time's surface. For each of the 3 days before you died, the only entry in your notebook was the same single word in capital letters: pain. I don't believe in Satan exactly, but on the stairs, half turned away, a shining shape. Those grim fires gone dancing across time into the dead city. Hildegard often concludes her writings with a spell, not to infuse her words with life, which they already have, but to awaken her reader to what has been breathing corporeal on the page. May whoever, this is a quote, "May whoever sees with watchful eyes or hears with echoing ears offer a kiss and embrace to these my mystical words, which are uttered by me, the living one." And a burst cloud of birds gusted upwards, outwards, inwards, and outwards again, intermoving in indescribable shape unshaping. All the birds were stone gray but one, which was a soft, spackled brown and white, like an eggshell. And I heard a rush of sound, like what Hildegard calls the soul, or that which fills the body with life and brings forth the senses. And I saw, like Hildegard, a flame the color of air. It was air. The word reverie, like the word cleave, means its opposite. Most readily, it evokes a moment or period of being lost, especially pleasantly in one's thoughts, a daydream. Illustrating this sense, the OED cites a passage from Locke, quote, "When ideas float in our minds without any reflection or regard of the understanding, it is what the French call reverie. Our language has scarce a name for it." In music, the word reverie refers to an instrumental composition suggestive of a dreamlike or meditative state. But earlier senses of the word suggest not silent abstraction, but embodied noise, wild or uncontrolled behavior, wantonness, revelry. When you pointed up and laughed, you were saying something about aimlessness. You laughed at the thought of arriving anywhere. In this way, you may be said to have pointed into a dim distance. But today I feel as dull and embodied as the most terrestrial of animals, like a mole or a worm, burrowing around in the smelly dirt and thinking about nothing except the taste of the ground. An eyelash falls. The cat throws up hot mush on the rug's edge and flees, her tail stiff to pant in the corner. Even so does death invade the body while still warm. I write to you through this notebook as though it would reach you, believing that it would. O green vigor of the flesh and the flame, O vigor of the unfinished thought, unlikely comparison caused by interruption, and a bird swivels its head listening. Mary Robinson suffered from chronic pain. Some speculate from a bad miscarriage, followed by a concussion. And one night she had to take more laudanum than usual for the pain. As her daughter, Maria Elizabeth, relates the story, Robinson woke in a trance and called for a pen and paper, dictating her poem, The Maniac, faster than Maria Elizabeth could scribble it. Maria Elizabeth says, quote, "She lay while dictating with her eyes closed, apparently in the stupor which opium frequently produces, repeating like a person talking in her sleep." In the morning, Robinson didn't remember the incident, though it rhymed with her dreams, half shadows fleeing. Maria Elizabeth writes that her mother was, quote, "perfectly unconscious of having been awake while she composed the poem." To be unconscious of having been awake is a formulation that intervolves waking and sleeping, dreaming and awareness and unconsciousness. This incident predates Coleridge's writing of Kubla Khan by several years. And in her biography of Robinson, Paula Byrne suggests that Coleridge, who knew Robinson well, drew from this story when he described the circumstances around his poem's composition, the dream, the businessman from Porlock. Your voice cries out in the night. I start awake, listening, but you are breathing in sleep's uneven recess. And again, I say the word so loud in my head that I start. Have I said it aloud this time? Have I breathed it aloud in sleep? I slipped and fell asleep. I slept and fell. Longing is a green ache, pulling more space out of space, an expanse that gasps, but also pulling us somehow together. You touched my shoulder and pointed up. Look, you said, reverie. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. That was Claire Marie Stancek. Next up, we have Leia Penina Wilson reading from this read Metropolis, What Remains.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Claire. Welcome, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Thanks for nodding. Okay. Kant, welcome to the half world. Everyone half dead, a quality I call loss. Birds cut the sky into existence. Why is a bird? All those myths cooped up, the limit of imaginations, men are. Chicken is tasty though, all that white meat, boneless. What goes down in the kitchen? I suppose none of us look like animals anymore. This game is called Sound of Distress. She shucks his cock. Now she has a cock. She says, shuck a cock. We can both play. Oh, America, why? Is this that awkward pit sweat? My ambition? It's dry mouth. How many bodies has he worn through, that war god of yours? A mouthful. Spit it out. Spit it out. The sun, desperate. I, desperate. It's all so desperate. Nothing recognizes itself. The ego out. A dead female poet propped up against best beloved satire. What to do? Her body? Her thrice-tuned lyre, her stained green sash. The sun setting the sky, purples, blues, reds. Aren't we sisters? Look at her slouching there. Why do you follow? How many times must the world unfall? In the name of love, why even? Let's not digest it. The desire to salivate, what virtue? I make myself drop the metaphor immediately. In no certain terms we assassinate, then we love. My own body and enchantment no one really believes. In the middle of the room, there's an apocalypse. It's carnival themed. One woman decked out in turquoise glitter, bells, hula hoops. Another body dances knives. Who knows how it will end? It's hot here. No cloud coverage, no moist. Heat coming beneath. Any moment might gulp us. Mean desert flowers, thistle and Kant. Has my life been intellectually thrilling? I wonder if it matters. The thirst, bodies all slick of blood, dance whatever. Of course there's a fire breather, a lion taming, no more wilding. Mirrors, mirrors. Or it's so bright everything seems reflected. We're underwater with 4 suns, more suns than I remember going to sleep with. Everyone is having fun. Everyone is winning. Nothing, it seems, surviving, yet roar, roar, roar. This prize is yours. Everyone is going to die. Can you feel it? The recognition of what she is in other people's eyes. Are you excited by that instinct? Have you fed on enough bitter plants? Did you see the marbled polecat lost its prey? Has the winter curbed your appetite for other animals, soft-bodied? How do we reconcile the future? I'm taken aback by expression, by how expressive. I watch one gray centaur challenge another gray centaur for dominance over the rest of the herd. I decide I'll love the winner. They rear up, they neigh. It's just a sound. I don't know how to write it. And they're so unified in their glee. It's so malicious. I'm certainly in love. I call the winner best beloved centaur. Best beloved centaur pledges allegiance. I love you, I say. Best beloved centaur neighs. Shakes that glorious mane, all black, almost purple, so royal. The loser's blood is all over best beloved centaur, and I feel so hot. I love the love of dominance for dominion over body. Best beloved centaur, are we bad survivalists? Did I wait too long? When I smell those dead bodies, fuck me or get off. I want sleep. I've had a long day, and literally, I can't stand either of us right now. My own pleasure bored. I hate my wound. I eat it. Says Eurydice, I've lived and I want out. Some squirrel eats a nut, shits, is satisfied. I cut, bleed for days. How responsive loneliness. Says Eurydice, I repeat, have we not loved the other enough? What real things these bonds of love? You say, why doesn't it sound natural? It's a border you're not willing to let go. Must you two forever look back? Isn't that failure? Aren't you a failure? My body is its own pain, so I narrate it. Alternatively, like the rest of the world, I could watch lightning fire inside a hollow and imagine my doubt is not in my enemy's hands. They call my death sacred. I lose my good name. Isn't that lust? The stuffed mouth of a chipmunk. Says Orpheus, what about Hot Girl Summer? The big bad wolf is news in addition to the government bio. Selective, hey, don't worry. Says Eurydice, you fucker. The real lesson, believe nothing. Sacrifice everything, believe in nothing, be nothing. How did you get away with that for so long? We wish on a shooting star, combine our powers. I do not want to be lonely. Your slick afterbirth, failed body of Hector, prophetic woman head of, whatever you kill and carry around, this killing, your stilled life, this battle again is tiresome. All these old white men and their same feelings, moon chalice. I want to be strong. How will you answer? Lover, cunt, exile, the city some dreamy dream. Again, trapped, an imagination limited by I miss. Somehow now weighted against satisfaction. Oh, grim mouth, grim reaper, just watch me step into the sea, out of your reach. Again, you think yourself a great original to have pleased me once. What words will move me? What desire cuts throat to navel? I cut it out. I regret only the intimacy. In the thaws, the jaws of another afternoon, we demand the other's red. Another transformation. Rainbow moon double heartache. Or what dream, what maiden, what full name they stitch you up in? Angry dead animal skin to mirror your angry dead animal soul. Rage yet recognition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leia. That was Leia Penina Wilson. Next up, we have Maw Shein Win reading from Storage Unit for the Spirit House.
That was marvelous. Thank you, Evan, and thank you to Booksmith and the Bindery for hosting. And I would like to thank Rusty and Ken and everyone at Omnidawn for their incredible work. And it's such a pleasure to be celebrating our books together today. Storage Unit 202. I crawl into the pod, formerly known as Storage Unit 202. Inside is a quilt made of yesterday's tablecloth, today's plaid coat, and tomorrow's prayer shawls. The storage unit emits a humming sound. Occasionally, a high-pitched note bounces off the metallic walls. I cook peas in the pod. I drink moonshine at dawn. Observations. One might sense a breath over a face. One may envision the tourists trampling the wildflower superbloom. One can sleep alone with the space heater. Storage Unit 202. The rental faces another house. When she arrives, there are wild turkeys in the street. It begins to rain. The storage unit in El Cerrito holds pinned moths in cases, brass castanets, tin pants, a box of cork buttons. She swims laps in the thunderstorm. Storage Unit 202. 1, secondhand gloves. 2, a king drinking pear juice trapped in a glass jar. 3, wet hair and wet fur. 4, velvet spurs. 5, directions to the other world. Sky Space 3, a limited edition, annotated records for the researchers, referred to footnotes about the survivors, how they lived, how they moved, how they breathed. Opened door and let sky inside. Spirit House 5. As a child, I did not climb trees. Instead, I gathered leaves that flew to the ground. The elms were tall in the fall, the neighbor boys cruel. One left a dead kitten in a box on the doorstep. I made homes among the leaves, safety in gold, yellow, brown. Invented a family who lived in a treehouse. Green twig, the mother. Broken branch, the father. 2 ferns, the missing sisters. And the title of this next poem is from the novel Correlled of Bress by Jean Genet, which gives the outer pair the heavy look of bronze clothes on statues. Mind the maps of nerves. Beware statuesque rabbits who have abandoned their stations. Use heavy cream to cover the eyes of feral children. Oil the statues until they squirm like freshly caught trout. What does it mean to blow smoke through thick walls? Use twine to bind 2 hands reaching through prison bars. Cinema. The auteur pops pain pills, hybrid, saga, biopic. Adrift in the headroom, natascape, sirens, deep background. Close-up of beehive in a cemetery. Fugue state, reverse shot, tomb fur. Montage of lace handcuffs and cardboard boots. Choking ocean. Theater in 3 acts. Where are the minnows? Song of gongs in Mini Mall. What happens to the body after soliloquy? Mine in mottled fur coat. When does the future arrive? Birthmark on forehead in shape of flame. Shops. Phytomineral etudes at the paw quilt shop. Nocturnal halos, mind fevers, smelling salts, air guitar and filigree. Why the rapidly moving notes? Why the boxing mentors in July? The reverie of mobs as the architects listen for their Ganesh ringtones. MRI scan. Band marches through the crowd, chimes, gongs, a sound bridge, vibration of metal coils. There were drummers and wailing, promise of salvation, malediction but no misfortune. There were seekers and preachers, panic button, bang bang, last sensation. Storage unit for the spirit house. The father at dining room table, shades drawn, wobbly throne. The daughters with their brown shaky hands. A forest gnat haunts the master closet among the clothes moths, felt wolverines. Daughter number 1 hiding behind a juniper bush, bright longies, wooden handgun in metal case. Daughter number 2 sleeps with a long broom next to her bed, mint chocolates under pillow. 5 a.m., father drops a cold wet towel on her face. Storage unit filled with boxes of LPs, Joni, Dylan, Carly. Back cover of Jimi Hendrix Experience. On 2 hits of acid, this will blow your brains out. Dusty military jackets, punishment belt, piles of lockboxes, missing keys, jars of Nescafe, VHS tapes of Burmese pop singers. Daughter number 3 listens to father's records in the den, altered music room, sits on the piano bench near the door, the father in armchair, Joni singing A Case of You. Forest gnat flutters above in air smoky from Kent 100s. And my final poem also closes my book. Spirit House 6. The gnats had moved into the house on Inya Lake, zoomed through halls with pocket knives, tamarind seeds, green bananas. Family offerings of jade bracelets, cheroot cigars, deer tails. The medium danced wildly in the living room, drunk on palm wine, spinning, spinning. Orchestra of circle drums and copper bells played on the staircase, Natpwe. 8 children on the floorboards, leaping over uncles and cousins, shaking, shaking. Mother lit candles on the wall shrine. She spoke to the blue-winged insects. They whispered back. A gnat warmed itself by the flame. Auntie walked in a dream state, hot room. Cousin slowly opened a large trunk of teak and silver strips. The gnats flew inside, one after the other, after the other. Thank you.
That was Maw Shein Win. Thank you, Ma. Next up, we have Nathalie Khankan. And Nathalie will be reading from Quiet Orient Riot.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Ma. That was amazing. Thank you, of course, first to Omnidawn. I'm so happy that I can call you a home, and a special Zoom kiss to you, Ken, for such meticulous attention to every final detail. Thank you to my fellow readers, and I also wanted to show you the cover and this beautiful artwork by Palestinian artist Bashir Mahoul. His artwork is called One Drop of My Tears. So Quiet Orient Riot is, it tells a story about trying to becoming pregnant, and giving birth in the occupied West Bank in Palestine. It describes the journey through infertility treatment at a state-of-the-art infertility treatment center in Jerusalem. And that journey actually coincided with the 2008-2009 massive Israeli military assault on Gaza. So it's a book about motherhood, desired technological triumphant motherhood, but also about all the ways that my body, our bodies, women's bodies, and especially our wombs have been and continue to be the site of so much anxiety. Quiet Orient Riot. To say I once wrote an email to Mahmoud Darwish, I don't know if he saw, about being newly arrived in the occupied territories. Before I knew to call it territory. The bread is flat in my hand, and it's a flawless kilometer to a friend's house. A taxidermy giraffe in Qalqilia I haven't seen yet, and a progressive progesterone protocol I haven't tried yet, and he's not yet a dead poet. To say I'm in a position on the brown sofa on the 5th floor at Beit Shami and cold. I go between Hussein's blue light and wringing towels of tepid water. Anticipate one land. In that position on the sofa and that national question. When I'm done writing chapter 4, the poet's dead. He's dead in Houston during a poet's heart's operation. Basil is away when news from Texas. Salim says everyone will be at Almanara Square. It's a literary history. It's a poet's funeral. It's a quiet Orient riot. The way it sounds, it's Maysoon for dinner. She says that we should stop holding our breath for justice. She says, enjoy the little justices instead. Those teeth of hers are monumental. I've always wanted an ambrosial smile and subtle glottal stops. From here, you may proceed straight and only look back once. On the corner by Lambada Video next to Kulchi Shahi, a young Arafat glints in the afternoon sun. In it, it feels like home and handsome patriotism. This is Area A, and the margins are utterly regrettable. We live in a city on a hill, and it belongs to God and shuttered cinemas. Soils shimmer towards something grand, shattering in many parts, and cumin is pervasive, This is Ramallah, you see, and much shapes up and many are digging. We consume summer and habitable evenings. My ovaries have been in the hands of men on both sides. My sister Skypes between children from the left land. My follicles are not yet purring. She says, of course nothing will happen to me. The electricity is back in the main functions of our local attachments. Before Abu Basel left British Mandatory Palestine, he rested on a rock with his eyes closed. The sun leaks from his cheekbones, and his knitted vest is a color we can guess. Sometimes closed eyes in a picture will tell a terrible story. The abundance we would know was known by none. The crude birth rate was known. The crude deaths were crude. To release the surface I'm gripping, I flex other muscles. In Dr. Shukri's office, something has already been. It's an east, myriad, and kindred. I vow to you what is in my womb. Streets that narrow on the other hand. It's a pool of hips. This is a picture of 3 men standing up, coiling father, his hands empty and empty. There is no trace of saccharine in the teas of Gaza. There is nowhere safe to hide. Strident gets us through 21 days. We see raw and wrapped, truncated winds. To say I see country with some war. Although seabird populations can withstand the failure to produce young in 1 or even a few years without suffering severe population level consequences, the loss of adults has an immediate and long-lasting impact on population dynamics. We meet and I see you. Your head piles in my lap like a geometric slab of gorgeous rock. The quarries slimming around us. Even a small decrease in adult survival rates may cause population decline. It's easy to wish away a winter of dying and processing disorders. To say at the foot of stars, it's an operation of dust, flailing and scentless. It's a kind of laughter. In a world of fewer babies, I can even begin to tell you how lucky we soon were. Crested child girl, conceived inside 2 population biologies with reproductive rates. You can imagine us quantifying our fecundity. For seabirds, the aggregation of large portions of the adult population in colonies means that a single catastrophic event can kill a large segment of the local breeding population. You can imagine us contemplating factors that will influence nest survival. And I have 2 more poems. The capacity for happiness, despite visual evidence, is great. You have begun to worship what grows in the rubble. I dream of multiple sweet children in diffident t-shirts. Count more than 20 impossibles. Ahmed and his friend ask for the very young child. They take her to the Islamic club, next to that place where they sell baked eggs, you know. A little justice. It's a world of boys and girls with noisy Nokias. She's a lifted, held by a world. On the 5th floor, her eyes are closed now, her hair thin yellow. The radio is along. We are all equally close to the good place. 2 more, sorry, I have 2 more. We bathed you in a bucket more than once, child girl. That bucket was gray and black of handle, and I will not forget. I come home every day and find someone who's clean. The way love takes you inside its slanted season. On the way out of me, you didn't make a sound. On the balcony facing Jerusalem, I hear your eyelashes grow. A little justice. I hear your eyelashes grow, bucket girl. I still struggle to make lines longer. Patience doesn't want to do its job with me right. And here's the final one. They said it was morning. I translate a poem in batik light from Jericho. Stay human, says the wall. I loop like the smoke rolling still in your mouth. The street becomes a street that fills up with spring and sheep curbs and carob trees. I stretch my right knee. At home, a new child waits along with blue eyes and hair. Where she is born is a fine thing. Scabiosa Palestina. I need to put a load in the washer. I don't always look up when you walk by. Collect it, graft it, warm root. I feel possibly covered like a book drawn in that coffee shop for men. And then I feel right in every corner like a table. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathalie. That was Nathalie Khankan. Next up, we've got David Rothman. He'll be reading from Lower East Side Tenement Reclamation Association.
Okay. Hope you can all hear me out there. Live from New York. I'm going to be reading from my freshly published novella, the Lower East Side Tenement Reclamation Association. And before I do that, I just want to send a big virtual huggy thanks to Rusty and Ken and their fab team at Omnidawn. Just fantastic work. And I just also want to give a hand to this wildly talented group of poets that just preceded me. And I know there's someone reading after me. It's going to be fantastic. So we're going to do a little prose for a change, right? This is going to be well, it might be poetic, I don't know, but it's prose. And I'm going to read from the opening scene of the novella, and then I'll read a few more quick excerpts. Okay. Not a day goes by that I don't wake up and focus on the fact that I've been cheated out of my Grandma Rose's apartment, and I'm now eternally priced out of living on the Lower East Side. It's high noon on a rainy autumn Friday, and I smile as I pass a relic from another era, the fading Shapiro's wine ad painted on the side of a grungy yellow building. There are some Hebrew letters on the bottle of kosher wine, and in trying to make sense of the ad, I remember a few seders I attended as a child at Uncle Sam's on Delancey Street, all of us going through the motions, none of us believing much in God. I walk back toward Felix's tailor shop at 91 Rivington and take an awning break at Steve Madden's boutique. I remember Grandma Rose's apartment being somewhere on the 100 block, but this can't be right because nothing on that street looks familiar. I scratch my head and try to conjure up the building's facade. The last time I'd been inside the apartment was a few days before the tragedy. I was playing a card game Uncle Sam had taught me called Casino on the front stoop with my sister Hester. I was 7 that October afternoon, the autumn of Nixon's impeachment, and she, just 3 years older, dealt the cards so slowly as if she felt the expanse of a whole lifetime in front of her. Moldavia House, 1891, is carved into the brown brick above the entryway of the next tenement, and I imagine the day when the bricklayer examined his just completed inscription, proud of his skilled work. I look around, soaking up the texture of the neighborhood's vibrant past. I dream of inhabiting the island of my Grandma Rose, of breaking bread in the flat, where she tended to the psychic wounds of Aunt Ida, the only Kaminsky sibling who made it out of Treblinka alive. I yearned to sleep again in the same bedroom corner where my sister Hester and I would stay up half the night making up mad libs on Grandma's musty pull-out sofa. I step over a soaking AM New York in the gutter crossing on Essex and call my mother with the distant hope that in an inexplicably lucid moment, she may summon Grandma Rose's Lower East Side address from her patio lawn chair in South Florida. I often ask myself how one can forget a meaningful address. How can one lose track of a specific location that played a central role in his childhood? Is it hard to imagine a scenario in this age of GPS and Google Maps where high tech cannot rescue us from ourselves, where an app cannot save us from our amnesic souls? Mom's voice tenses up when she recalls anything about her mother. Daniel, who the hell knows where the address is? You think I remember? You've asked me the same question a zillion times. A bearded chassid walks by with a white umbrella with some Hebrew words written across it. I can only make out a few of the letters. This realization is disappointing. Mom continues, it must be near the fabric shop. We used to walk a few blocks over to the Bowery to look at the fabrics on sale. Piece of work, your grandmother. She hocked me a chinook. Ask Dad about your grandma. And he loses his voice. Mom, Grandma Rose promised the apartment to me. There was a hesitant pause on the line. I could hear my mother sighing. You were 7 years old at the time. What kind of promise are we talking about? Still, a promise is a promise. Grandma had completely lost it by then. The neighborhood was unsafe. There were pimps roaming the hallways of her tenement. Please. I opened my eyes and noticed the bearded chassid now half a block up, observing my movements. I turn and walk in the other direction, wishing I could call my mother now and hawk her just a little bit more. With most of the old businesses gone, replaced by Duane Reads and HSBC banks, and with the overpriced creperia I just passed, I asked myself, why bother with this fool's quest? As my wife Julie likes to say, Manhattan is kind of over. Another section I'd like to read from. So now our protagonist is in his apartment. Julie slams the cupboard door. We're standing in our matchbox-sized kitchen making nasty faces at each other. We look like inmates, both wearing tacky red and yellow striped pajamas bought a few summers back at a Bulgarian black gypsy market. She squeezes my nose. We can't go on like this. Promise me you'll see someone. My wife, a dark-eyed Sephardic beauty, looks even sexier when she's infuriated. I turn away from her towards the stovetop. I'm making some chamomile. You want some? Julie opens the cupboard doors and grabs a jar of honey. You've got to stop with this key nonsense. You know, even if we somehow magically got into your grandma's place, I'm not sure I'd even want to live there. She slams the honey down on the counter. Screw the whole idea. Manhattan is for rich people, the 1%. I try to take Julie's panicky tone in stride. She has been laid off from her therapist position at the hypnosis clinic for 1 month now. I turn on the stove and flip around to respond to Julie's outer borough inferiority complex comment. And as I do, my left arm knocks the honey jar off the counter and onto the kitchen floor, where it shatters to bits. Julie yells, "God damn it!" I try to step back, but one of my socks is stuck in a gob of honey. Julie's already got the dustbuster out and is down on her knees trying to figure out if it will work on glass and a honey combo. Clearly, the dustbuster's making the floor situation worse. Julie takes out a couple of rags, she wets 2 and throws me 1. We're both on the kitchen floor working hard to get back to the status quo. Julie looks over at me. I think we should be talking about why you keep calling in sick. I stand up and take off my soiled socks. Julie's still on the floor searching out any last pieces of glass. I say, babe, can I what? Julie's waving her arms above her head like she's trying to kill a whole species of invisible bugs. Just calm down a bit. Hester's not sleeping yet. She might hear us. I don't care whether she hears us or not, Julie says. We're fighting. People fight. Kids fight too. It's part of life. Why hide it? A few minutes later, we're in a calmer state, sitting on the couch eating pistachios. Julie says, so what's the point? The point is that my grandmother sold eggs door to door, didn't finish high school, and got to live on Rivington Street. Between us, we've got 2 master's degrees, and we can't even come close to getting a place over there in my ancestral home. Julie covers her mouth the way she does when she's just about to laugh at something I might take offense to. Your ancestral home is Pinsk, or was it Minsk, not Rivington Street? I hold up my arms in protest. Okay, my more recent ancestral home. I'm going to read just one more quick section. This is sort of an important section of the book, just one page, 2 pages. It's when our protagonist finds this magical place on the Lower East Side. I'm about to walk away, but when I take a second glance through the slat, I see a splintered sign at the base of the graffiti-splattered sidewall of 98 Rivington to my right, a dozen yards or so from where I'm standing. The sign hangs lopsided over what looks like a basement entrance to the building and reads, the Lower East Side Tenement Reclamation Association. My first thought is that I'm beginning to lose my mind. I check myself by looking away for a moment and then peeking through the slat again. The intriguing sign is still there, as real as the awning to Felix's tailor shop across Rivington. Instinctively, I hop over the fence, nearly ripping my pants on the uneven wood jutting up at the top. Standing in the grass, I can see the sign more clearly. I walk over to the sign and examine it, then look down the 3 basement steps and notice the light is on inside. I take a few back steps back to the fence and look through the slats at the street scene on Rivington. A few taxis trickle by, some tourists are checking out luxury knockoff handbags laid out on the sidewalk. No one notices that a trespasser has hopped the fence. Feeling dazed, I step over some Negro Modelo beer cans in the grass toward the basement entrance. Running my fingers over the faded words of the wooden sign, I mouth the word, reclamation. I stand in front of the entrance for a few minutes, contemplating whether I should take this absurd situation any further or be prudent, call it an odd day, and just go home. Could it be that there's someone working in the office down the basement steps that actually helps people reclaim tenement apartments? At the least, whoever's in there may have access to old neighborhood records, which might include my grandmother's address. I take the first step down toward the basement door, thinking it would be foolish to back out at this point. Curiosity gets the best of me. I give 3 knocks and a couple pounds, and as then I hear someone undoing multiple locks before the door opens. The woman who answers can't be more than 4.5 feet tall and must be pushing 100. She pulls me in with her wrinkly hands. Close the door behind you, for God's sake. Her breath smells of fish. She shuffles me down an unlit hallway into a clustered office with a Singer sewing machine and an old Smith Corona manual typewriter next to it. There are stacked coffee-stained copies of Der Forward covering half the floor, and there, from right out of the dream, is the caricature of Mayor Lowe and the unframed Arbeiter Theater Farband poster sloppily hung on the wall. She has the Benny Goodman Orchestra playing on a 33 RPM on an old player propped on one of the newspaper stacks. She signals me to sit down across from her rocking chair in a crude metal chair in front of the typewriter. Every 12 to 14 years, some yuckle walks in off the street with a story. She holds up a brown winter sweater. Meanwhile, I knit. Thank you.
That was wonderful, David. Thank you. That was David Rothman. Next up, we have Sonny Morris reading for Calvin Bedient.
Thank you, Evan. And this has been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed all of your readings, and congratulations to each of you, my fellow readers, on your books coming out. Thank you also, Rusty, Ken, and Omnidawn, for your press and all the hard work that I know you do to create such a flourishing. Obviously, I'm not Cal Bedient. Cal is recovering from a medical procedure, and he asked that I read for him, which I'm honored to do. I'm going to read 3 poems from those Cal selected, beginning with the title poem. The Breathing Place. This is the Dutch door with 6 glass saucer windows on the upper panel. This is the international orange Dutch door in the house by the sea. This, the spectacle of waves bashing the rocks below the house. This, the velocity of the spray, tons of vaporized lilies. And this is the 3rd bell of the Dutch ship in the 23rd Psalm of the sea. Correction. This is the HMS Indomitable. And this is Billy Budd, sweetest of sailors on the wide, sloppy water. Oh, Billy, fragile Billy, you must be wary, my friend, for even in a crow's nest, gazing at the copper sunset over the lachrymose sea, you are still among men. These are the copper pans I shine each day in the chalk white house by the sea. I await you, whoever you are, on this chair made of minerals, cooked in the hottest suns before galaxies formed to flash. Goodbye, we die in every direction. This is my welcome, my friend, trusting you to mean me no harm. For no one prepares a table before me and sets out the clear glass dishes for the wine. Can you see the rain pissing on the window panes? Outside is the furious blunder of creation, some call hell. Here, there is nothing to fear. Sit still, be comforted, all will be well, for thou art with me. My friends, if I have any friends, may tell you I'm snappish. I have done yoga. I now breathe easy among most quanta of the animal kind. Yes, even among folk who walk around with a sly coyote air and tricks to entrap their prey. Well, I understand them. Their particles, too, have been cooked into meanness. But you are a dear one, feeling quite at home in my creaking house by the blowing sea. Sit by this table of sky blue glass molecules, a lovely crystallization from universal madness. Scientists theorize that the center of the Milky Way smells of rum and raspberry. They want you to feel at home. That's so sweet. I really can't have all this fidgeting when I'm talking to you. I've never been so happy to be with anyone as I am with you in this well-defended house by the sea. You are as beckoning to me as the window set like the 6 eyes of the sand spider in my orange door. Thank you for being with me as was permitted when the world was first sucked through the straw of forms and made to claw and fornicate and sail by the standoffish stars and hang a boy for being charming, guileless, and pretty. So it is that billions of folk can just sit and talk as you and I do here, where uninvited the world has come. The era. The white crisis, the White House blood type, white essences, millions of white accidents, those on the way it goes, white from here, white lighthouse stinging the sea, all angels, marvelous, unsavory, whose white cysts swell in the shadows of white placentas, pages of white moths, and how now achieve in all the white accommodation, the white tiger drinking from the star stream, the definitive shredding of white subpoenas, not a whitewash, no, not a white out, no, as one snatches away a veil, suddenly she had to leave. Stopped short in the midst of white arches, had to run away, stopped cold by a crowd of white hellos. They swoop so dizzyingly. How long can this go on? But have we been so very kind, so very clever as to sift the white sugar glass from the rain, taken the hands of the ruler gods, strolled like freshnets of air into this hour, smelled the green, the astonishing change, cleared the log jams of scrolled up white wedding dresses, mothballed they are, tired with cold memories, climbed the white cliffs in our millions of moths. How we could have helped her. How long can this go on? Can she be deeply affected again? Freed by tall claps of impermanence, sprigged with who's-it atoms, our only money, the rulers folding paper airplanes out of their countless white documents, old white causes, type white angelism. But see where she halts, benumbed in the white halls of stay as you are, dressed white on white in the crisis of surveillance. Who can stop this? The whole white colony amassing shares, drones ready to bomb, infestations crossing lawns with suitcases. Supervising the woods. There must be no crawlies, runnies, eaters here. Full of chest, my nose can detect them. I spread my primeval wings for the flyover. There, an encampment of fugitives. I can't bear to tell you what happened next. All around, abominations, beetles with Christ child, abdomens that gurgle disgusted confessions. No one has the belief I have. I show you, God splattered at the west end of my thumb, and I, a mere poet with kill codes locked up in charms. All attempts on my muse are met with cough. Wait, something in the ferns giving free rein to its passion, if that's the disgusting expression. I took care of it. I used the plainest methods. I was born for love, probably, but the world's spores came at me like meadows of flame. Have you ever fallen backwards in your chair? Just so, the world falls away from me and my moments of weakness. Though the smell lingers on, the after image of woods with surgical breath, red devil claw berries, the piss smell of ancient memory, throatless soughing. Can there be enough of that essence of nothing moaning behind you? Yes, enough. Get hunting again. It was originally war brought on this cold fever, the guards rubbing their breasts in my face, lace underwear scattered in the undergrowth, white crosses burning in cradles, emerald-colored whistles of birds fired from the windows of the armory. I am occurrence in the midst of appearances, and like Vallejo, will die of life, not time. Roll around in your wounds, you others, if you must, but I sit on top of the picture, seldom looking down, my legs dangling above famines in the grass, oil fields, the sub-Sahara, car bombs, everything as dirty as I am. Each afternoon, a miniature White House bleats on my porch. I hear the locks disengage. A tiny president comes out to address the nation. Thank you. And thank you, Cal.
That was wonderful, Sani, and for Cal, thank you. And gonna switch to gallery view here, so we're all, you can see all of the writers. Congratulations to you all on your books. What a lovely, wonderful day of readings. Thank you all, and congratulations to all of the writers, to Claire, Leia, Maw, Nathalie, David, and Sani for Cal. I would expect nothing less from Omnidawn, and just want to send major thanks to Rusty and to Ken and to everybody at Omnidawn for the tireless, crucial work that you do. You guys who are tuned in, you can go to omnidawn.com to find out more about what they have in the works. Always turning out the goods for us. I want to encourage you to get the books. If you don't have the books yet, you can order them all. The links will stay at the bottom of your screen, just down there. Scroll down, click on the links. You can either pick them up at Booksmith, or we'll ship them right to you. Yeah, what else do I want to say? I think I just want to say the rest of our events this week are free. Rest of Booksmith events. I hope that you guys can join us for some of them until we can all meet in person. It's really crucial for me, at least, to keep meeting here online. So I'm grateful for this. I think maybe what I'll do is just unmute all of the authors real quick, in case you guys want to say thank you or goodbye, or you know, have any parting words. Thank you all.
Thanks, Evan. Thanks, everyone. Wonderful
everyone.
reading get together.
Thank you for being out there. Thank you, Ken.
Wonderful to hear these poems. Yeah, and the fiction too.
You were great work.
Do you want to get a picture of all of us holding our books?
I do. I definitely do.
Okay. Do you want to take it, Evan?
Yeah, I'm just going to take a video, and then I'll screenshot it if y'all get them up there now. Beautiful. Count of 3. 1, 2. Click. Thank you all. That was really lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Omnidawn.
Everybody.
Thank you all so much.
Really,
Thank
really
you.
wonderful reading. Yeah, such a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.